Happy Mother's Day to every mother that is actively engaged in not only raising their particular biological or adopted or foster children, but we want to talk about mothers taking action, mothers fighting for social justice, mothers pushing the system for change and pushing for equity, pushing for rights that women should have in this place. And so we have some powerful mothers and women with us today. They represent a lot. And so I want to introduce to all of you who are watching and viewing and listening, Miss Pam Bosley. You've heard her, Purpose Over Pain. She's a violence prevention manager at St. Sabina Church. And she just does so much to connect mothers who lost children to violence. But beyond that, she's moved into this idea of purpose, and we're going to hear from her shortly. And then we have with us Donna Gutman, who is she says, I'm an activist, but she's more than just the word activist. She represents a number of organizations, National Council of Jewish Women, Chicago Women Take Action, and other organizations where women are moving in a very active way to highlight the issues that women face, to fight for justice for women of color, but all women in terms of pay equity, in terms of access to career options and opportunities. And then we have Ms. Grace Chan McKibben, the executive director of the Coalition for Better Chinese America. And when we look at what's happening to Asian Americans in America today, the hate crimes that all of us have witnessed, whether you African American, Jewish American, or Asian American, or Latino American, we all face hate crimes in our communities. And so we're going to start with Pam Bosley, and all of you can chime in. What is it that you see women, mothers, should be doing and can do, and what are you doing as we look at the level of violence within our community? A lot of people are focused on the police-involved violence, but what about the violence that we're perpetrating against each other? Pam, how are you celebrating Mother's
Day? Actually, Mother's Day weekend, we're doing something too. Purpose Over Pain is a group of parents whose children's lives were taken by violence, and we consider us mothers on the move. We always trying to help each other and get our cases solved, advocate for common sense gun measures, and actually, I'm glad we heard that. The next day on May 8th, we're going to try to be there too. So our big event this year is at St. Sabina on May 7th. And what we're doing is, our goal is to beautify mothers that lost their children to violence. So we have a spa day set up for them. Every year we try to do something. With COVID, of course, we have to bring our numbers down. Usually we have over, hundreds of, over 100 parents, moms come in. But this year we're going to keep the number at 70 or 75. So throughout the day, we will have parents. They have to register. So we having parents come together to get spa. They're gonna get massages, their nails polished, their hair done. The goal is to build them up and show support. We're gonna feed them and just make sure that we show love, because throughout the year these mothers are fighting for justice. Also, they fighting for justice to get their cases solved, because in Chicago only 80% of the cases are solved. Are unsolved. 80% of the cases are unsolved. So our goal is to get our cases solved and to continue to fight for justice for this day-to-day shootings that's taking place. So that particular weekend, we doing some things too. On May 7th, we'll be at St. Sabina supporting one another, and support is needed, because the first year, this is my son Terrell, as I spoke before, his life was taken April 4th, 2006. And that first year I tried to take my life twice. So from that, God moved me from the pain to the purpose for my life. And our goal is to be the moms on the move, to fight for justice, advocate for common sense gun measures, and to support parents just like us, and let parents know that they can make it.
Mothers on the move.
Yes, we are.
And if people wanted to, or wherever you are in the country, you can have a Purpose Over Pain action. You can be a part of Purpose Over Pain. You can contact Pam Bosley. You will see her email on the bottom of the screen, because I know so often once you lose a child, you feel alone, you feel lost. It's very difficult, as most of us as mothers know, once that umbilical cord is cut at birth, you feel some kind of way. And that's why a lot of women in postpartum go into depression. Well, can you imagine the umbilical cord being cut by early transition of your child? We then have to find value in life beyond that moment of the death of your child. And so I thank you, Pam, and Purpose Over Pain.
And can I just say one more thing, Reverend?
You can't.
I want everybody to know that first I was a mother, of course, in my own home, but it takes all of us to have that mother instinct and work to be a mother for those that don't have mothers. If you got mother, you see kids down the streets that need help, because that's what I do at St. Sabina. I reach out to young people that need help. So my mother instincts kick in for not just my three sons, but it kick in for everybody. So we need more true mothers that's in the community that can help others. Don't just keep it within your home. We need you to reach out throughout the communities.
We're saying Mother's Day is more than about your biological relationship to a child. We must be mothers of children in our communities, children in our pathways. So we are the mothers that God is looking for. And now I am so excited. We have Grace Chan McKibben, who represents, she's executive director for the Coalition for a Better Chinese America. Many of us really are just learning about the level of hate crimes that Asian Americans have experienced, among other things. And so I'm so happy to have you here with us to share this Mother's Day moment. What are you doing as a mother? And how many children do you have?
I have 4 children, and they are 27, 25, 22, and 20. So even the little baby is not a teenager anymore. But I think that being a mother is important, whether your kids are little or whether they are taller than you, because what we do every day to fight for our community and to fight for every community so that we can all be included and there's equity for everyone is for the future. It's for our children, whether they're biological children or children, other people's children. They are all our children.
So what are you doing with your coalition? What does it do?
Yeah, the Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community is based in Chicago's Chinatown, but we work with Chinese American communities in Chicago and the suburbs, but primarily in Chinatown, Bridgeport, McKinley Park, to make sure that we advance the Asian American community. We have worked to fight for a new library in Chinatown, the new Pingtong Park, the field house. So a lot of folks don't know that the last park that was in Chinatown was torn down in the 1960s in order to accommodate the Dan Ryan. And then the community had to fight for over 30 years to get a new park. And that should not be the case. I think a lot of times people forget that because of the Asian American stereotype of being quiet and not making any waves, we tend to be invisible. And it is unfortunate that it takes some tragedies recently with the violent crimes, with the shooting in Atlanta, the shooting in Indiana, that folks are finally realizing that this is a community with our own set of needs, our own set of complex issues, and that we want to fight for our rights and our voices along with other communities. And one of the things that I want to point out that, anti-Asian hate is a problem for everyone, not just for Asians, just like we want to uplift the needs of all the other communities as well. Anti-Blackness is an issue for Asians as well as it is for our African-American and Black brothers and sisters. So I think that we want to stand in solidarity with each other.
We stand with you. I think that one of the growing languages that we are asking children to learn is Chinese, in terms of China's impact on the economics in the world. Also, as we look at every major city, there's a large concentration of Asian Americans, a growing concentration of Asian American families and children. I think it's very interesting that you got to fight for a playground for almost 60 years. Mm-hmm. That is incredible. And, as mothers, we have to think about places that our children can safely engage in fun activities. At Push, we are working to look at options for some children living in Concordia Place. It's a public housing development on the far south side of Chicago. The playground was not open, it was not properly painted, and it did not have the kind of playground equipment that children should be exposed to. When you go to, it's out by Argyle Gardens, there's nothing out there. So if you don't have a park for your housing development, the children have no safe place to play with the kind of playground equipment that children can exercise and engage in positive activities. And so we're fighting for them to have that. And when you talked about the library, I think it's so significant to make sure that children have access to a digital library, the state-of-the-art library, so that they can operate in a remote environment. And so I'm so happy to have you on this Mother's Day. We're just trying to give mothers. It's not about how many flowers you're going to get and how many, what gifts you're going to get. What is it you're going to give to a generation that's here and a generation to come? And so I'm glad we have Donna Gutman. She's representing National Council of Jewish Women. She represents Chicago Women Take Action, and she's my favorite activist. Oh. Donna, how are you celebrating this Mother's Day?
Well, I'm going to be very involved in the May 8th. I'm one of the organizers for the John Lewis Day of Action for Chicago with some great partner women, all women who are making this happen. And so I'm really excited. It's so much a part of my DNA to be reaching out and broadcasting what social injustice looks like. I mean, we have so much of it going on. Just a little backdrop here. NCJW, National Council of Jewish Women, was founded in Chicago in 1893 by Hannah G. Solomon, who was a fighter, a woman of privilege who was a fighter. She refused to serve coffee to men at the World's Fair in 1893, walked out of the tent and wrote letters to 1,000 women who came to the World's Fair. And that was really the launching. Can you imagine? No email, no nothing. She wrote the letters, 1893. And I think there's the sections all around the country all perform different community service oriented actions depending on the needs of the community. There's some that do it for getting sanitary pads and tampons in schools, in public schools. So it depends on the need, but one of the great things that it always been involved is just immigration. And you have to know that NCJW was the only or the first encampment on Ellis Island to welcome the stranger.
Wow.
Yeah, they had, the mayor at that time allowed them to have an actual shack, booth, stand, because there were predators waiting for these young girls who came alone from Europe and were going to be definitely recruited into sex trafficking. And so they would say, and they had women who spoke all different languages, and she says, come with me, you're safe with me, come with me, I'm a mom, I understand, and I'm going to help you. So that's the very rich history on the immigration side. It didn't matter where you emigrated from. If you were a girl and you were alone, you were embraced by National Council of Jewish. And since then, we've been very involved with juvenile justice reform and continue with sex trafficking and certainly access to reproductive health care and abortion. Probably we're right there with Planned Parenthood and everything that is done to scream, rant, and raise our voices to say, my body, my choice. Abortion is healthcare, and Planned Parenthood performs a lot of services, and they should never, ever be denied the right to help, particularly people who are, it provides affordable healthcare for them and their families. So, and we're involved with gun violence prevention, which I'm very dear to my heart because I'm involved with Brady. And we're making some baby steps, and yet we all know as mothers, the heartbreak of simple things like background checks not being passed. How egregious, how destructive that is to people who can get access, people who shouldn't have access and do have access to weapons, no matter what their size. And so I can't imagine there's anything more heroic than being a mother. I have 8 grandchildren, and I have that come from 5 children, not all of them bearing children, but there's a whole bunch of us. And what I really love is the fact that my 5-year-old granddaughter, when Joe Biden won and I came in through the gate and she says, Kamala Harris is there. And I said, wow, talk about, the influence of your actions and the influence of your passion and purpose.
Right.
And she knew it. She knew it right away, to the point that she and her mother all bought us, the 3 of us, Ruth Bader Ginsburg t-shirts. And we have this fabulous photo of the 3 of us, my daughter-in-law, the little girl sitting there dressed with a Ruth RBG shirt. So I think what we can do as mothers, and what am I doing? Of course, I told you what I'm doing on May 9th, but NCJW is also, and they've been doing this for years, they call it the Mother's Day Basket to Shelters. And we do it every year. We haven't been able to deliver in person this last year, obviously, and probably not this year either, but gift cards for a myriad of shelters across the city. And what do? I send all my daughter-in-laws a letter saying a donation has been made to women in shelters who may not be as fortunate as you are in your home with your children. So, I feel like my roots of activism really mirror the activism of National Council of Jewish Women, from childcare to juvenile justice, all the way to helping the elderly and the people less fortunate.
Well, I thank all of you for sharing what you're doing, and I want you to help me do something. We discovered at Push that women who receive food stamps do not have the ability to purchase diapers with the stamps. Now, Senator Duckworth and Representative Bass are working to change that law, which does not allow them to buy diapers with the stamps, as if you're buying something negative. So we're asking mothers, women all across the country, to send us diapers, because we want to become a diaper depot that we can provide diapers to mothers of all sizes. Don't ask me the size, because I haven't had a baby in years, so I don't know. But whatever size you get in the store, we want to be able to be a diaper depot. And so for this Mother's Day, I want every woman that's listening, and men too, we need to make sure that we do 2 things. Donate diapers. You can do it through, Amazon, Smile, or whatever. But you could also, and have them shipped to Rainbow Push, 930 East 50th Street, so we can help mothers. They shouldn't have to worry about buying diapers. They're choosing between diapers and baby food or food. And secondly, we must lobby our elected officials at the federal level to make sure that food stamps are allowed to allow the women to purchase diapers. That's stupid. And just think about it. We have a lot of mothers who are incarcerated. They can't get the necessary diapers for those children that are born to women behind prison walls. So we need to think about how, as women, we deal with women behind the bars as well as women in front of the bars. There are many women behind the bars that not only they have children outside, but those women, I visited the jails and I've noticed they don't have the change of clothes that, as you know, and the materials that women need once a month. So I want us to look at how do we as women decide to take on the role of women behind bars. I've had to help several women individually negotiate that time that they spend either in county jails or in prison, just having the contact, just having support. If we change our outfits every day, how do you give me one cell uniform that I may get to wash once a week in the middle of COVID? So mothers, we have a job to do. We got to fight for the John Lewis voting rights bill. We have to fight the state legislatures to change the policing law state by state. And we also want a federal law, the George Floyd Act passed, so that we can reform the police departments nationally. But every state regulates the laws for police misconduct, police use of force. And so we have to be focused on that. And then to Pam Bosley's point, we got to focus on what we do for mothers and families who lose children to community violence. We have to change the investments in those neighborhoods. We got to pass gun laws. Back to the Brady Bill, we have to eliminate assault weapons on the street and easy access to guns that our children are getting dropped off of railroad cars that enter in certain communities. And then finally, mothers. I know it seems like I'm giving you a lot to do, but mothers can do this. We juggle all stuff every day. We have to stop hate crimes. We have to have every state pass hate crime legislation so that it's not a question whether it's an Asian American, African American, Jewish American, Latino American. It's a hate crime, and there's some different penalties and actions that need to occur when those crimes are perpetrated. They're burning synagogues, they're burning churches, they are shooting in mosques and temples. We must pass hate crime legislation state by state, wherever you are, whatever state you live in. We want to make sure that these actions against people of a different culture, a different color, are considered hate crimes. I thank you so much. Get busy. Stay focused.
Can we find
It's our
one
day.
last question?
Thank you.
One last question. Can we find, and thank you so much for inviting me to this. I'm honored. I'm absolutely honored. I didn't say that.
Well, we want to convene all you women
We
and
are.
others that you know for the convention. Women must come together. We want nationally women coming across all races, cultures, whether you're working, unemployed, retired, whatever you're doing, business owner. We want women to join us as we take on how we're going to push our public policy agenda and what we're going to do as we look at the international, the globe. What are we doing for human rights around the world and in America? We can make a difference. We have the majority, we have the power, and we gave birth to all of them.
Yeah. No greater
That's
heroine.
Good and bad.
Motherhood.
They passed through us.
Yeah,
we have the
motherhood.
power.
Right.
We
Motherhood
have
has
the power of influence. We are.
How do we send the diapers? Can you just give us a little heads up?
You send the diapers to 930 East 50th Street, Rainbow Push.
Okay.
930 East 50th Street.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
We
Thank
truly
you so
thank
much.
you. And happy Mother's Day to
Thank
everybody.
all of you.
So much.
I'll see you on
Mother's
on
Day.
May 8th in my
May 8th,
caravan.
be there. Be there.
All right, we'll see you passing you up in the car.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Don't
Take care.
drive too fast.